A Conservative candidate in Montreal has stepped down after a CBC investigation put the spotlight on his fake political campaign. Chris Lloyd was running against Liberal leader Justin Trudeau in the riding of Papineau, but it appears that his entire campaign was part of a performance art project. And the campaign, just the latest in a series of gags by the artist. He's been writing bizarre letters to the Prime Minister for more than a decade. He once wrote a $30 billion check to the Conservative Party to pay for F-35 fighter jets. Not clear how much the Tories knew about Lloyd's intentions, but some critics say this shows poor judgment. The CBC's Thomas Dagla has been working on this story, and how did you and your colleagues uncover this?
Initially last week, Ian, we received an audio recording of a talk given by Chris Lloyd at an art center in Fredericton back in March. That was recorded by a freelance journalist in New Brunswick, Corey Robichaud. So we had a listen to this recording, about an hour and a half long, where Chris Lloyd talks about this persona he's taking on to run for the Conservatives. He had become the riding association president for the Conservatives in the Papineau riding, and then later candidate up until today. The Conservative Party, practically first thing in the morning, confirmed to us after our story initially aired this morning that he had resigned as candidate. Now, many questions about that resignation. Was he asked to resign? Did the Conservatives ask him straight out, is your entire campaign a joke? That's not clear. What is clear, though, is the way he told people in Fredericton in March what he planned to do once he became candidate. Here's a recording of that talk.
I've been telling the Prime Minister about this whole thing from get-go, with all sorts of imaginings and fantasies and options. Yeah, I'm going to become the candidate. I'm going to mess with your party.
So, Thomas, I think some people are wondering, to what extent does the Conservative Party vet its candidates? Should they have been able to figure this out beforehand?
That's the big question. A Conservative spokesperson told me yesterday before this story aired that Chris Lloyd went through the same vetting process that any candidate would go through. In that talk in Fredericton, Chris Lloyd alluded to a 51-page document that he had to fill out to get the Conservative nomination to run in Papineau. He said he had to go through a background check, and apparently this is normally the case for any party if you want to run for federal politics. Somehow, though, one would suspect that Chris Lloyd perhaps bent the truth, or perhaps maybe even actually did tell the truth to the Conservatives. He said in that talk that he thought perhaps the party was onto him, but that they didn't mind that they were leading him on because they were trying to get him to stop talking to the media, and they didn't care because it was a star candidate running in Justin Trudeau here, running in a Liberal stronghold, so the Conservatives figured they didn't have a shot. Either way, this guy, Chris Lloyd, slipped through the cracks, was able to become the candidate, and I guess you could say play a joke on the party, and here we are today talking about it.
And you know what? You probably wouldn't think to say to a potential candidate, is this an act of performance art? So, next time maybe they'll ask their candidates or potential candidates that. Thomas Dagla in Montreal, thank you.
You're welcome.
There has been, of course, a lot of reaction to this on social media, people poking fun at the situation. Comedian Mark Critch commented, Conservative Party candidate messing with party. Now I get it. The whole Harper government is one big art piece. And from the satirical website True North Times, we know Conservatives aren't crazy about the arts, but did Chris Lloyd have to resign? We would have liked to have seen the end product. And author and journalist Dan Gardner wrote, not impressed, still waiting for Pierre Poilievre to be outed as Andy Kaufman.